welcome to the Open Paddock RallyCast. This is episode 46 for Tuesday, January 15th, 2019. Wow, I'm already a year off. In this episode, we chatted with Dave and Mike Brown out of Denver, Colorado. We talked with them about what got them into rallying, their almost career-ending crash in a hill climb, and the challenges and successes led to them winning the overall 2018 Rally America Championship in, get this, an open light car, or as we say in ARA, a normally aspirated four-wheel drive. That is just some impressive stuff. We're really looking forward to hear their story. Let's kick back, relax, grab a drink. This is Open Paddock, the RallyCast. Welcome to another edition of the Open Paddock RallyCast. I'm your host, Mike Shaw, and with me, as always, is co-presenter and lover of all things ancient, Ian Holmes. How you doing, Ian?
Oh, I'm doing great, mate. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. I'm trying to stay warm, though. It's been, cold is one thing. It's the wind with the cold that really kind of bites a bit, And granted, we don't get as cold as you guys. I get that.
No,
it's right around
that's
freezing
true.
here, but still, it's that damn wind.
Yeah. So now you've tarred me with this lover of all things ancient brush, and yes, I did get my Model T Ford Club International magazine in the mail today.
Why am I not surprised you have that?
I just want to destroy that illusion in one fell swoop. I'm getting back into TSD rallying this weekend, and I'm accompanying a novice, and this novice is turning up in an Audi R8.
Oh, well, apparently the novice goes for the moon. That ought to be fun, but those things are all-wheel drive too, aren't they?
Mm-hmm, yes. So
that ought to be fun.
Well, I'm quite interested to see how the other half live. So, and how the other half drive, we should probably say. Yeah. So I will be reporting back after the event, and you can be well and truly envious then, maybe.
I'm sure you'll be having all the creature comforts that an R8 ends up supplying. There you go. Well, we are looking forward here to have our guests, Dave and Mike Brown, on the show. Many of you probably have heard the story before. It's been, of course, all across the internet and all that stuff, but it's always good to hear it in their own words. So without further ado, we're going to welcome Dave and Mike Brown. Well, hello and welcome to the show, Dave and Mike Brown. It is so excited. We're so excited to have you guys on the RallyCast. First of all, just how are you guys doing tonight?
Doing awesome. We've been listening to your show for a while and really looking forward to being part of it.
Awesome.
Oh, we've got fans. We've got fans on the show, Mike.
I know, right? People actually request to come on instead of, oh God, I'm not doing that again. So.
We'll see how it goes.
So our listeners get the voice right. So the first one to talk, that's Mike, right?
No, that's Dave.
That was Dave. Damn it, see? I'm getting confused already. All right, so that was Dave. And now, Mike, why don't you give us a quick hello so we can get the voices figured out here.
Yeah, hello, everyone. Yeah, this is Mike, co-driver. Doing well tonight.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we always tend to start these out, with some kind of the most basic questions because, well, we always want to know how everybody starts out. But my initial thought is, of course, Pikes Peak was probably an influence, but I want to hear it from you guys. How is it you got bit by the rally bug?
Well, it actually started with a coworker of mine. He was into rally. They actually got into rally when they were back in college. And he started telling me about all of his rally stories and how they started doing rally cross locally and invited me out to a rally cross and got a ride and got another ride and started driving myself and kind of just grew from there.
Awesome. And you guys are based out of the Denver area, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. I guess what's the rally culture like just in your general local area?
Rally's actually been huge in Colorado for a long time. There's several rally kind of oriented shops out here. Rallycross is huge. A lot of the rallycrossers here win national titles, which is awesome. And the Rally Colorado, obviously. We've got hill climbs all across the state, so there's a lot of rally here.
We'll talk about your childhood now? Because I read a interview story somewhere said that you guys have been like racing ATVs, four-wheelers and bikes since you were kids. So you must be like naturally competitive. And has this helped you in the way you've been attacking rally?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that with rally being in the dirt, it's all about the feel. It doesn't have exactly the same precision as driving on the road, where maybe you can learn it a little more. The rally, it's all seat of the pants, second by second feeling the traction. And I think coming from dirt bikes and mountain bikes, both Mike and I, has really helped out a lot.
Yeah, so how did you decide then, once you decided that you were going to have a go at rally, how did you decide who was going to drive and who was going to call the notes? Were you competitive there? Did you have a little fight, or did you have like rock, paper, scissors, or?
I just brawled it out in the backyard. No, actually, I guess I started doing the rallycross and then built a hill climb car, and needed a co-driver, and the first person I thought of was Mike here, and yeah, he didn't hesitate. He was all about it, huh, Mike?
Yeah, I just jumped right in, and there was a off-road park here that we were able to go out and practice first, to make sure I don't throw up in the car. And
always key.
And then we were successful out there, and then we just started doing the hill climbs.
So obviously, hill climbs being a huge thing in Colorado. Tell us a little bit of that hill climb background. I know there's a bit of drama that happened with that. Thankfully, everything worked out okay. Give us a little bit of story on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, hill climbs just in general they have a rally class. But the difference between rally and hill climbs is hill climbs, you run the same road all weekend. It's just your single best time that counts. So you're really trying to get that one perfect run, and you can have a bunch of throwaway runs. But for us, I guess it was 2017 mid-year at Temple Canyon Hill Climb. We were on our last practice run, and series of things all came to a head, and we drifted wide off of a turn and slid sideways into a pretty big drainage ditch, which launched us up in the air, sent us in a flat 180 spin down the road, and landed hard again, and lots of yelling from Mike's side. So maybe Mike should tell you about his experience.
Yeah, just a lot of really big impacts, and then the second big impact, once we came down from the first flying, actually just caused compression fractures in my back, and the subsequent impacts didn't help at all with that. So after that second hit, yeah, I knew it right away, and I was already screaming in pain.
Yeah, we've actually got the video. We got in-car on YouTube. If you go to the Racer Dave page, you can see it, but warning for the listeners, it's not for the squeamish to watch. It's pretty rough, actually. But yeah, we destroyed the car pretty good. I ended up having to cut the whole front corner of the car off to get it repaired. But in the moment, it was really bad, actually, for us, or for me. For Mike from a pain standpoint, but for me from an emotional standpoint, we were new to rally. I'd invested a lot in it. I had my brother in the car. And of course, in my mind, I'm thinking the worst possible case. Here Mike's going to be paralyzed, going to be hurting the rest of his life. And so I was in a pretty bad way emotionally. And Mike just right away was actually really good for me. He said it's racing, it's okay. And it really kind of helped straighten me out. And then in my mind, I said, if Mike's willing to get back in the car, I'm going to spend any amount of money and time to get us back going again. And he never even hesitated. He was sitting there in pain and said, heck yeah, let's do this. So I cut multiple cars up, welded them all back together, and got the car sorted. And we 6 weeks later, I think, we raced the Monarch Hill Climb, and we got first place in class.
Wow.
Wow.
Rally Colorado won overall.
So give us, actually, before we get into Rally Colorado, Give us a flavor of what these hill climb events are like, because we've talked loosely about them before, but it's such a big culture over there for those things. Are these tarmac based usually, or are they some of them actually gravel or dirt? In some of the ones that aren't obviously the big Pikes Peak one, what's it like out there? Are they long? How many miles? Just give us an idea of what most of those are like. Besides, like I said, the one that everybody knows.
Sure. Yeah, they're all dirt. The entire Colorado Hill Climb Association series is all dirt roads. Pikes Peak's an animal all by itself. The roads are generally in the 4 or 5 mile range. There's some that are a little shorter, some are a little longer. Yeah, there was one that was flat, actually. Didn't even climb the hill. But in general, yeah, they try and find roads that go uphill. Some of them are pretty famous, like the Land's End Hill Climb. That thing's been around, I don't even know the date, but I think it's the oldest all-dirt hill climb in the country right now, since they paved Pikes Peak.
I hope it stays that way. That way.
No, it's absolutely beautiful. It's on the Grand Mesa at Grand Junction, and the views are just completely epic. And yeah, every now and then a car likes to fly off the edge of a drop-off, so it keeps it entertaining.
You said 6 weeks later, you guys, you're back in the car. Okay, Mike, tell me what it was like getting back in the car again for that hill climb, because I can't imagine those fractures are completely healed yet.
Well, it was more of pain management. There was still a little bit of pain, especially after runs. So just a little bit of pain management, but it was really in my brain. It was just confidence-wise, building up confidence to be able to focus on the notes, building up confidence in Dave again. And it took several runs for me to really get back into my groove, to keeping up with the notes and feeling confident again. And it really even took several races until I really got that kind of gung-ho, let's go for it, feeling back. I was still tentative.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Amazing. The first run at Monarch's one of the shortest and steepest runs, so it's really not fast, but it's on the side of a really steep hill, so there are lots of drop-offs and stuff. And the first run, definitely, Mike and I talked about it, and it was definitely getting over those nerves. Such a big crash and so much pain for Mike, and it really helped us in a kind of relatively safe environment because of the slower speeds to get our groove back.
From that point, you decided that you wanted to do Rally Colorado. Now, I'm going to guess that some of the impetus for that was it's the return of Rally Colorado, right? That was the first time it'd be back in, nigh on a decade since it's kind of dropped from the calendar for a while. So you got this big return of what would be a home rally. Was that kind of the reason for you guys trying to make it to that specific event?
Not necessarily. I mean, we had committed to doing 2 rallies that year. We did 100 Acre Wood earlier in the year, and Rally Colorado was going to be the second one. And certainly being the home event, there's less towing, and so we were excited to do that with all our friends. So we were really excited for that. But it was already on our plan, and it's one we were really looking forward to. And that was kind of let's get the car ready and get back on the schedule we planned and not let this wreck affect us. Yeah.
For those that don't know, why don't you explain Rally Colorado? Like you said, you guys end up coming out on top, winning that event overall in your open light car that you had destroyed and took multiple cars and welded back together, which makes you one hell of a mechanic as well.
Sure. Yeah, Rally Colorado is awesome. And we're actually the first people in history to win a national event overall on an open race car at that event. And that's our second rally ever, so all around it was pretty amazing.
You guys are like, this sport's easy.
The exact opposite of that. Yeah, it was... Rally Colorado is a unique event, I think. To me, it's a real driver's course. It is... The terrain varies so much. And Mike can tell you, I mean, from a co-driver's perspective, it's pretty difficult for you, right?
Yeah, just the varying of terrain, just your cadence, your tempo on your notes changes constantly, whether it's super tight and twisty, or if it's more wide open. There was one stage, day one, it was stage 3 and 6, that you kind of go down, and it's just linked turn after linked turn with crest and everything. So I was winded by the end of that stage, because you're just nonstop talking for 6 minutes straight, as fast as you can to get out all the calls.
Yeah, with the variety, there's some sections that are a little bit rougher, and there's definitely some car management you got to do. And there were some really fast turbo guys that were running with us, and they keep their foot to the floor no matter what. And it was pretty rough on some of those guys, just as far as like axles and stuff. And that's part of the trick to winning. You just got to know when you got to ease up and when you can hammer down. And, yeah, it's an epic race. I absolutely love it.
So, going back to, you guys are using a normally naturally aspirated, four-wheel drive or open light. What's the altitude at for Rally Colorado? Because I have to think that it affects it at least a little bit compared to the turbo guys.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. The altitude's pretty high. I don't know.
6,000-ish?
Yeah, it's got to be in the 6 or 7s up there. It's pretty high up.
Yeah, that would definitely affect a normally aspirated motor. Wow. Yeah, I can definitely see that being a bit of an issue, especially trying to manage heat too as well. So definitely a big challenge. You guys came out on top of that one. Big success. So then you guys decide to take on the whole 2018 championship. What was the impetus that said that, yeah, we're going to go for the whole thing?
Kind of some life aligning of stars. So I was getting into rallying, obviously super pumped. Colorado obviously was awesome for us. I had recently broke up with a girlfriend, so I had funds free, which was convenient. Just loving rally. I wanted to experience rally more than anything. And also, I've never run in any of my previous dirt biking. I've never run a whole series. And you hear people talking about what it takes to go after a points chase and all that. And so I just wanted to experience it. And just thought it was convenient timing, and I was going to commit to that and run the whole series.
You must have had to have a whole change of frame of mind as to the way you were going to go about the season then, if you were to attack a whole season campaign, how you could actually do it.
I mean, the whole season, if you know anybody that runs a whole season and works on their own car and does the whole shooting match, go give them a hug. They're working really hard. You think that there's a race once a month or so, or sometimes they were every couple of weeks, and there's plenty of time. But between all the driving all the way across country and all the time I spent in the garage and just everything, it's more work than I ever possibly would have imagined, and you just have to up front 100% commit to it and say you're going to do whatever it takes, because it takes a lot just to make it to the races.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that makes a national championship so coveted, right? It is that challenge. We've talked about it many times on this show. There's some people that prefer a championship to be kind of region-based plus a shootout at the end or something like that.
Sure.
Me personally, I'm not for that. I think a true national championship, you need to tow. Is it hard and expensive? Yes. But that trophy at the end should be coveted. It should be something, yes, it is hard. You did all that work. Whether that work is to get sponsors to back you, to help you get there, and all those different pieces in between, working on the car, whatever it is to get you that championship. That's my personal opinion, is it should be hard, and it's the hard that makes it great. The shootout thing, I get it, it's more affordable, but it's not quite the same as a championship of any other type. We are a huge country, though. I mean, the U.S. Championship is similar to an entire European championship because of the scale. So I can understand the challenges there. But, for you guys, you definitely made the commitment to make it happen. Now, one of those commitments, I'm actually going to talk about Mike here for a second. Mike, if I recall correctly, you were part of the Oz Rally Pro Elite Co-Driver Academy, were you not?
That's correct. I was a part of the first group that went through here in the United States.
All right. So, had you made your own notes prior to that?
Yes. In fact, doing all the Colorado hill climbs that we did, we 100% made our own notes from the very beginning.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess what I'm wondering is, going into now a championship, and that class was in there. I think you guys probably did snowdrift first, but what was it that you were able to take from that class in preparation for going into this whole season attack? Goal setting, preparation for events. Because Rhiannon and Alex, they're good friends of us on this show, and I know that they have quite the program to try and get people, to really be motivated to make it happen and be professional.
Yeah, they're great people. They hold great courses. Highly recommend them. And they're really pumped and want to support rally in the United States. They think it's pretty underserved here. Of course, they've been all around the world and see like Europe and Australia where it's really big. And they're really hoping that rally in the United States takes off again. And they're 100% on board to support it to get there. But as far as the course, the big thing I took away, we'd already been doing our own notes. But for me, it was the level of preparation you do before the race even happens. The weeks leading up to the race, there's a significant amount of time you can put into your research of the course, the stages and everything ahead of time, previewing videos, and getting Dave everything possible so that he feels comfortable going into the race. So really, there's just hours and hours done before we even load up the trailer to go, from my point of view, to make sure that we have the most successful race possible.
Yeah, I'd say for me, in the car, Mike's confidence level afterwards was way more than it was, and it was awesome. We were able to get through recce quicker. We felt more confident in the changes we were making to the notes, and it was just all around. It helped both of us.
Yeah, because before then I was completely self-taught. Dave did a couple of co-driving stints, so just kind of us trying to figure it out on our own. And going to the course, one of the things in the intro is what do you do well and what do you do poorly? Like, what do you want to work on? And my answer was, I have no idea. I don't know what's good. I don't know what's bad. I don't know if what I'm doing is good. Am I bad? I have no idea what I'm doing. And it ended up being that I was actually doing quite well. And the Gelsaminos were surprised how well I did being completely self-taught with no training. So that was pretty fun.
Rhiannon mentions it to me every time I see her that I should be joining the class sometime, Ian. And yes, I've got to do it. I'm interested to hear what people's reaction is to these classes and what it's actually done for them, because I've just started working with a new driver this year, and so I'm hoping that I'll be able to get out there at some point in the near future and learn what you guys have learnt, and I can put that to use myself.
Here's a hint, Ian.
Yeah.
You won a championship.
Yeah, yes, I know. So, yeah, maybe I can win a championship.
Well, you mentioned something there, actually, Mike. You were saying that that there was a huge confidence boost going in, or I think it was Dave saying that actually that Mike was more confident because he did all that preparation. Did that confidence then help you, Dave, to be that much better on the stages, because you're kind of hearing that confidence probably through the mic?
Oh, yeah. I mean, even just in recce, because, there's so many little things. He gave me some tips, but also when he was writing the notes, there's lots of times, the roads are super bumpy, and we'd want to slow down and make sure that the note was written out clear, and you learn some techniques for when you're writing the notes, how you can fix them easier later on, and various things that I don't even know what he's doing over there. But just because he was confident and he was on it, it let me keep going. And so we got through recce, and I felt way more confident by the end of recce, which was awesome. And so it just took all the pressure out of that first day and just made going into the race day just so much more relaxed. It was really nice.
So somewhat more unique, though, is that apparently there was some events that ran off tulips. They're blind rallies. This is the stuff that they used to do in yesteryear. So how difficult was it transitioning from hyper-prepared to, oh shit, I'm supposed to go off tulips?
We did we did a little bit of research. People were doing posts because I think a lot of people were in the same boat. They've never done it before. And so there was definitely some good tips thrown out there. Probably the biggest one is just to flip through the tulips before you do the race so that when Mike sees a little arrow that kind of curves funny, then I know what the arrow looks like and we discuss how to call that. So that helped a little.
Yeah, hanging the tulips was very interesting because you don't have as much confidence and control as what you have when you do recce and you have your own notes. Tulip notes, the call outs can be a mile apart. So, and you aren't really sure what the arrow really means because you haven't done recce's. You're doing your best to relay to, in this case, Dave, what you think is coming up. So you're trying to interpret the tulip in the race car as I'm also tracking mileage so that I can count down the tulip to Dave so that he knows when the tulip is coming. So I would actually just count down tenths of miles, just like 5, 4, 3, so that he knows when the tulip would actually come. It doesn't make any sense to be like, oh yeah, in a mile and a half is going to be a left turn. Like Dave isn't tracking mileage, so I would actually track the mileage myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny, the first time he when we were trying to figure it out, he'd be like, okay, left turn. I'd be left, wait, here, what? And so we finally figured out it would be like, okay, in point 3, there's a left, point 2, point 1. And so that way, it made more sense to me and it wasn't catching me off guard where I was, expecting a turn. Because with normal notes, when he says a turn, it's just 1 or 2 obstacles away. So, we got it down pretty good by the end.
Maybe you should have done a few TSDs beforehand to get the hang of working with tulips.
What is a TSD?
That's awesome. Yeah. Well,
we're still new to rally,
right? Yeah, the resident anorak here, Ian Holmes, will tell you about time, speed, distance rallies, the traditional road rallies of yesteryear, but they still go on today. They're actually quite fun.
Do they mostly do that on the East Coast, or?
No, they're everywhere. You just gotta look it up. There'll be some sort of, I'm sure there's some sort of car club doing TSDs in your area. They're all over the place.
There you go, learn something new every day.
Because TSD rallies, they generally use tulips to give you the instructions on the course, and you're flying blind all the time, but I think it's more for Mike really to be handling the tulip instructions. But you get used to the symbols and you understand what the symbols mean, and it can certainly help. I mean, there's a lot of the European co-drivers, in fact, our friend of the show, Mike, Phil Hall, he cut his teeth on TSD rallies in my home county of Lincolnshire back in England. So it's good. It's good for like thinking on the fly and everything like that. It's a lot of fun. And as I told you didn't hear our introduction, but I'm doing a TSD this weekend, and I'm doing it in an Audi R8. So I don't know how that's going to go, but I've not done a TSD for a few years myself. So I'm going to be flying blind on that one as well. But
back to talking about the speed and stuff, though, for you guys. Let's talk about that 2018 season. You ended up doing really well at Snowdrift, super slick and ice-covered stuff. You're from Colorado, so I'm guessing you know snow a little bit, but then again, it's kind of high desert, right?
Yeah, that's the thing with Colorado is most people think Colorado's buried in snow all winter, and it'll snow a foot here, and the roads will be clear in a day or two. So it's not like anything like it was up in Michigan, that's for sure.
So Michigan, that's glare ice there, right? So once the cars go over it, it heats up and remelts and becomes an ice rink. That probably must have been a little bit different for you guys trying to figure out how to get speed on something that you get no speed on.
We were trying to figure out how to not crash. It was interesting because on the press stage on practice, there was actually a layer of snow, and we were going pretty darn fast, and it was we were really excited for the race, and then overnight, actually, it warmed up, and that little layer of snow that was on top of the ice just melted and turned to water. And if you look at our event video, I mean, it looks like almost like a pond with a mirror surface, and there's ice just below it, and the ice was perfectly clear. You could see the dirt like an inch below the surface, and start line workers were standing there and sliding off the crown of the road, just trying to stand next to the car. So, yeah, it was.
So it was perfectly Zamboni'd.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. It was awful.
So
I had that at Namachi this year. We got to the final time control, and we couldn't actually pull away from the time control in the rally truck because we're two-wheel drive and no weight over the driving wheels in the truck there, and yeah, we couldn't actually pull away from the final time control because it was glare ice there.
Oh yeah, you throw some sandbags in the back of the truck.
Exactly. So from there, you guys went on to 100 Acre Wood, I believe. Had some, I guess, mechanical issues out there. Is that right?
Yep, we blew up a motor 1 mile into the race.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
And then from there it was, I'm guessing this must have been Southern Ohio, which has become a huge event. And gosh, those are some gorgeous roads they've got out there. It's the revival, really, of what was Sunseeker years ago. It looks like that one is probably one of the highlights, I would think, of the season, just with the amount of attention it gets.
Yeah, I think they had in the entire country the most number of entrants at that race out of any of the races. They had over 60 people there, and
wow.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I mean, I've never been to Ohio before, but it was almost rainforest-like, at least compared to Colorado. And yeah, it was cool roads, lots of crests, lots of blind turns, and road's pretty narrow, so you got to really be careful. And it's a little bit of a unique driving style because the roads aren't so wide that you're like setting up lines and apexing and all that. You really had to figure out how to drive as fast as possible, but stay within that narrow groove there on the road.
Was there a lot of crown to it? So if you got off a little bit, you'd be sliding off?
Well, it's interesting because the roads probably were originally plowed wide, but the forest had kind of like overtaken it, except for just the center. And so
I see.
Particularly crowned, but if you got off into that like undergrowth, you just didn't know what was over there. So, yeah, best to stay on the road.
What was probably the most challenging moment of 2018 for you guys?
Just race-wise?
Sure.
I mean, a lot of the challenge was just getting to the races. I mean, we had so many issues that we fought all year long, and so just getting there was huge. But as far as the actual race, probably Rally Colorado, because we were having motor issues during the event, and we lost like 25 minutes on, was that the third stage? And so we kind of fought through that. We overheated the motor. We thought we seized it, but we got it running, and we were able to finish. We had several other motor cutouts, and overall our position wasn't that good, but we set like 9 overall fast stage times, and we got through all of this adversity. We also, coming from Park Expose the day before the race, smoke starts pouring out of the hood. Turns out it was a power steering rack that blew up and was leaking on the header. And so we fixed that overnight, and the crew, which is all volunteer crew for us all season. And if any of you guys are listening, I appreciate every last one of you guys. You guys made it awesome. But we did that overnight, and so there's just so many problems. And in the end, even though our result wasn't what we'd hoped, it was just extremely rewarding to have finished every single mile of that race and overcome so much.
So flipping that around a little bit, that being the most challenging kind of, event and kind of moment, really, other than just trying to get to events from one to the other. What was the high point of the season, besides the championship, of course, but was there a specific moment over the years you're like, oh, wow, this is it. This is what we came to do?
Well, I'll let Mike pick his highlights. I think I kind of have two. The first one that was really memorable for me was Ohio, because we actually were supposed to have a motor for that event, and a week before the event, like 5 days out, I yanked the motor out of my daily driver, just a stock 2.5 RS, and I threw it in the race car just so we could make it. And we did really well there. Toward the end, it was a little frustrating because more motor issues that I won't get into, but we did really well. And so overcoming that, just how beautiful it is there, I really enjoyed that event. And then the next one that really stands out for me was the Show Me Rally, which was another tulip rally, but that's the first event where everything worked perfectly. EcoTech got us a motor. They put a new computer. They figured out why we've been having all these motor issues all season, and the car ran perfectly. ZF Design rebuilt the transmission. We've been having this issue where it wouldn't shift directly from fifth to fourth, and so they sorted that out, and the car ran flawlessly, and we were going really, really fast.
Awesome.
There was even one point in the event where we got to the end of a stage, and Mike was kind of laughing at the end of the stage and said he had to look away sometimes. We were going so fast. So yeah, that was really cool for me. How about you, Mike? What was your high point?
I think the season as a whole, with the previous year us winning Rally Colorado, it's somewhat deep down inside, it kind of felt like a fluke. Like it wasn't like we kind of got lucky or something. But being able to come back in 2018, start Snowdrift was an overall win. So that way, it kind of showed that, Rally Colorado wasn't a fluke, that we're actually have that speed. And then to continue from race to race, to continue to show that speed in a naturally aspirated car against these very high-dollar open-class cars with big teams and big budgets, it just kept reinforcing the fact that what we were doing is real. It's not a fluke. We were actually out there putting down the fast stage times in our car. So it's just the whole season in general was just an amazing experience for me.
Yeah, we actually ended out podiuming overall nationally, every single event that we didn't have a motor issue. And some of them that we did have a motor issue, we still ended out on the podium. So yeah, Mike's totally right. The whole season, I mean, in the moment we were working so hard, and it was always for me about getting to the next race. So it was a little bit hard for me to just be excited every time. But yeah, looking back on it, Mike's totally right.
Well, that's an amazing feat, being able to put not only that car on the podium regularly. I have actually seen some pretty impressive performance from some naturally aspirated guys out here in the Northwest that just, wow, against some much more powerful competition. Maintaining that momentum and all that is such a difficult task to do. I think it just makes you that much faster of a driver overall for, if you up into a different class or increase the power or whatever. So that's just awesome stuff. Ian?
Yeah, so we're now a few weeks away from the start of 2019. So what's your plans for the coming season?
Good question. So we're working on a few different things here. One of the big things with 2018, all the struggles we had, we ended up getting a built motor in the car, and we thought that would be kind of an easy thing up front to tackle, and then we'd just cruise through the season. But we ended up fighting that all season. And because I'd committed to the whole season, there was always this last minute, like, oh, it's only running on 2 cylinders. Who cares? It's running. Just go. And so this season, really trying to take that pressure off of us. We're trying to do some tweaks to the car, starting with a new brake setup and things like that. And we're trying to do like 4, maybe 5 national events, and then probably some of the local hill climbs here. And just really take the pressure off. If the car's not ready, we're just going to wait and then do the one that we are ready for. There's some people trying to push me into a turbo motor. They want to see how fast we can really go. We're looking at that, but we'll see how that goes.
So I was noticing that the entry list is already starting to show up now for Rally in the 100 Acre Woods. So I saw that looks like you guys are entered for that one as kind of the one to get started with. ARA is, pretty much become the de facto national championship now. Are you looking forward to a potentially wider field of competition?
Yeah, I mean, when it was Rally America, the open lights class was the biggest class by far. I mean, some of these events were over 20 open lights cars. So I think as far as class-wise, and even the fast guys, I mean, the last race we did, Burke was there and Fattel and Gruska and all these really fast cars. So I think the field's always been deep. Mm-hmm. Obviously with ARA, and you got Team Subaroo and some of those other ridiculously fast guys. Yeah, I mean, it'll be good to see how it stacks up, but I think for us the goal's the same: just be consistent and go fast, have some fun.
That's the right mindset for sure. I guess I just want to ask you guys because it's kind of been the big thing now. I guess what are you guys' thoughts on the ARA and the new schedule? Obviously you guys haven't really competed in any of their events yet, but it's it's a huge schedule.
And actually, this year, if I read the post right, you only count your best 6 events for the championship, which is actually awesome. I mean, I know for like a team Subaru, it's probably not good for them because they go to so many events and do so good. But for most people, it kind of takes out some of the towing required. Like if you can manage to put just 6 solid events together in a row, you can be done and be competitive. But it's rally, so putting 6 events in a row together without a DNF or an issue is pretty tall task.
Any championship, people think it's easy for Subaru. Yeah, they got a whole team behind them and all that stuff, but they're also got technology that's at the limit, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just the fact that they finish every event, and they didn't, by the way, right? Remember Higgins having some of his issues. He DNF'd Tour de Forest. He ended up DNFing at Olympus. There's issues that those cars can have, even if with the bazillion dollars it seems like they have there. It's not easy. Rallying is an endurance sport. It is not the simplest thing in the world. It's just that much harder for a team like you guys, where volunteer crew, it's you working on the car yourself, and stuff like that, and you have to manage that risk, right, along with the performance you're putting into it. So it does make it quite difficult and quite challenging, and that's just what makes it so much greater that you guys were able to accomplish what you did. And I'm just super excited to see what you guys can do in 2019. Was a couple other things you wanted to ask there, Ian?
Yeah, so something I've noticed about you guys is like you're really mobilizing social media well. I mean, you've got the Racer Dave page and you've got the Left 5 Titans to 4 pages on Facebook. I mean, there's those excellent videos on YouTube. I mean, I'm still going through all those. Those are really nice to put together and really personal and give a whole great insight to it. I mean, you've had some great coverage in the press and with Grassroots Motorsport magazine, and there was this piece in the new Rally America this month in Rally publication just a week ago. So I'm having dinner with my driver this weekend. Have you got any advice you can give to me on mobilizing social media to your advantage, so I can explain to him how we should be doing this?
Social media is like this unfortunate, like, evil necessity, it seems. I'm really happy that you like the videos. I put an awful lot of time into them. Yeah, if anyone wants to watch, just go on YouTube, search Racer Dave, and you can find the channel. I really kind of put them together for Mike and I more because it really tells our story. And, a month or so later, you're not going to go through hours and hours of GoPro footage. But when you put it together like that, and it tells the story and shares with friends and family and fans out there, I really like it. Yeah, no, I just never really know how it's received. I mean, I don't get a lot of feedback from people. I mean, of course, there are people who really like it. But yeah, social media is hard because one day you'll post something and, it'll get 18,000 views. And then a month later, you post what you think is the exact same thing, but your next video, and it gets like 1,000 views. And it's like, what the heck, people? So yeah, it's hard. I don't have a magic secret. I just do what I think is cool.
Those damn algorithms, man. They suck.
Yeah.
Why can't we go back to chronological,
Yeah.
Please.
Now the key, I think, is I'm here on Open Paddock doing the RallyCast, so I think my social media is going to blow up now, right?
Oh, your hopes are way too high, man. Your hopes are way too high.
Another thing that's really cool for me about the videos, having just started catching up with these, is like, all the rally drivers will put their in-car GoPro footage out there. But no, you've got. I was following the LSPR one just before we came and recorded this show, and you start off with a bit of introduction, and we're thanking everybody, and you're going through the trials and tribulations and everything, and then you get into the in-car footage, and it's great. It's the way it shows the whole experience is like, that's really cool. That's what I really like about those.
Awesome. Yeah, that's one thing I like to really tell, and especially like Mike, co-driving. A lot of people, don't even know what the heck a co-driver is or what they do, but I like to make sure that we tell the whole story about the car and what Mike does and how he helps me, and like even beyond the notes, he does so much to help me out. So I try and tell all that story and make sure that people know about the volunteer crew, and they're working overnight to replace parts, and just the whole story, and the fans that you can see lining the road, and just all of it. I think that rally is so intense, and it's so cool, and there's so much more to it than anyone can imagine, and I'd hope that my videos at least capture a small part of that.
They certainly seem to. They're quite enjoyable, and that's one thing I've always liked is kind of that storytelling type of thing when it comes to rally, because it is an adventure. You're talking about the all-nighters and stuff. I mean, the crews and the teams are so dedicated to make this thing happen, and equally so are the fans and so are the volunteers, and that's the story right there. It is that dedication. It's the up all night. It's the weather. It's the last minute running to a store that's going to close in 5 minutes to get a part. It's right. It's all these different things. To be able to capture that and share it with everybody, that's what draws people in. It's this open atmosphere where the spectators can be just kind of a part of it. You don't feel like you're behind some fence and you have to have some special pass to see the people that make this happen. You can be in it and involved in it, and it's just the coolest sport ever.
Yeah, and in all my videos, I've got some out-of-car footage where we're sliding through a turn or something cool. That's all fan footage that they've sent me, or I've seen them post and asked if I could use. So that, to me, is so cool, and that's some of the best shots that I've got. And yeah, if anyone has any cool videos they want to email me, just email it to 4racerdave@gmail.com. And yeah, Mike and I love watching that stuff, and it's just amazing how different it feels behind the wheel, and then seeing the car go by. It's like, oh man, did you see how cool that was? It's like it's not even you.
That is so cool. Well, yeah. So let's get all the monikers out there. So what's the best way to follow you guys going into 2019 then?
So I do all my social media under Racer Dave, and I mean you can Google it, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Definitely follow any or all of those, and I post my videos and pictures and all my updates. If I'm looking for crew, we go on there. Yeah, Racer Dave for me is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, and then for me, I'm Left 5 Titans 4 Rally. That's L5 Titans 4 Rally with the number 5, number 4. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook as well. But we use Racer Dave to post most of the social media stuff for getting volunteers, the videos, race updates, stuff like that. I try and kind of bring a little more humor and show a little bit more of the co-driver side.
Yeah, and oftentimes, like even during, just going out to the race, Mike's pretty good at updating Left 5 Titans 4 Rally with just a lot of the stuff that goes on, before and after, where I'm probably sleeping, trying to get ready or recovering. Wish I thought more about it, because there's so many cool things you could be taking pictures of, and then you don't realize till you're home a week later, you're like, dang it, I didn't capture any of that. So, yeah, we try between the two of us.
Well, the other thing I wanted to make sure is we need to know who to thank, because for you guys to be able to do a season like you did and preparing for the new season, who all's involved that's been helping you guys get along?
Oh yeah, there's so many people, and definitely by far the most helpful person has been my dad. He was just been absolutely amazing supporting me, and he came over every weekend he was available, and he had some back surgery recently, but he was still coming over even when he was in pain, and just really was amazing the whole season. So by far, he definitely gets the most credit. And hopefully you're listening, Dad. Love you and thank you. And then so many sponsors that helped us out throughout the season. SpeedyRoo started out helping us get some motors installed. They did some tuning on the car, found some issues as we were fighting through the motor problems, and helped me with changing tires. All these little things that they were just really awesome. EcoTech, probably the biggest people responsible for giving us just the season that finished really smoothly, because not only did they supply an engine that was super reliable, but they gave us a new computer, they wired it, the whole 9 yards, and they really made the end of the season great. So definitely thank those guys. ACT provided us with clutch, which felt great, worked awesome, and a flywheel. So thanks to those guys. And ZF Design put together just an awesome transmission. They gave us a new gear set and did a whole bunch of stuff, fixed some really obscure issues. And so they were awesome. If you need a Subaru transmission, hit them up. And they even installed an all-drive Subaru center diff, which those guys are out of Australia. They supplied that, so that was great. Porterfield Brakes hooked us up with some brake pads. And then my friends at Flatirons Tuning, they have all kinds of aftermarket parts, the stock Subaru parts, and they've really helped us out a ton. And man, those guys are so knowledgeable. They've got a YouTube channel where they give all kinds of Subaru background information, all kinds of obscure things, but they really help out. So really like those guys. Rocky Mountain Autosports helped us out with some tires. The Ingenuity built the cage, and then my buddy at Motoroso.com, he's starting this motorsports only website, and so he's helped us out with letting us do some promotion on there. So yeah, really all those guys, it really takes a team to pull this off, and I worked my butt off all season, and really all these people that helped, and Mike here, just being so prepared on the co-driver side, to pull off a whole national championship, you really need a lot of people behind you. And all my volunteer crew, they get a huge thank you from me. So hopefully you guys are all listening out there. And thank you guys very much. I really appreciate everything that everyone's done for me.
See, kids, it does take a village, when it comes to these championships. Look forward to seeing them help support you guys into 2019 as well.
Absolutely.
Any last words from you, Ian, to ask these gentlemen?
No. I'll just say I'm looking forward to seeing you at 100 Acre Wood. I'll be there too in the rally truck, and I'll come over, introduce myself, and shake you warmly by the hand, because whenever we do these podcasts, if we have good inspirational guests on, I find it really difficult to sleep. And I think I'm going to have a sleepless night tonight, guys. Thanks a lot.
Nice. Yeah, and I'd say to anyone, there's a lot of people like that I'm friends with on Facebook, but you only ever see the picture of their car or whatever their profile picture is. And so I never quite recognize anyone in person. And so I really encourage everyone. I'd love to meet you all in person. And Mike's shaking his head over here. He wants to meet you in person too. So yeah, come up and, whatever your screen name is, let us know so we can connect you, or whatever car you got posted. And yeah, we love meeting people in person. So please swing by the races. We'd love to see you out there.
Awesome stuff. Any last things you guys would like to say before we let you get some sleep, of which Ian won't get?
No, just I'd like to say thanks for having us on, and I appreciate all your podcasts. I've learned some really good stuff from some of the people you interviewed. So, yeah, just thanks a lot for having us on.
Oh, you're welcome. It was great.
Thanks again for being on the show, and we really look forward to seeing you on the stages.
Absolutely. We'll see you out there.
I appreciate it.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye. Well, that's the end of this week's show. Remember, you can and in 5, 4, 3. Well, that's the end of this week's show. Remember, you can subscribe to our show on Podbean, iTunes, Google Podcasts, or search your favorite podcast app. I cannot talk at this hour, apparently. We are also on all popular social media platforms. Now offer our shows on YouTube as well, so if you prefer to listen that way, the video is just kind of a single stationary image, but you can listen to us through that as well. Please subscribe, tell a friend, give us a like, give us a share. We're always looking to get more followers. I'm your host, Mike Shaw. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next time.